Hey, good evening everyone. Paul here, Project You Are Another Me. So, as you may have noticed if you follow some of the videos, there hasn't been a video or a caption in the last couple of days as I have quarantined myself in this room for the last 48 hours. Came down with the heavy flu, probably started about Tuesday, but I don't think it really hit till Thursday, and let me tell you, it was hell. You know, the feeling was bizarrely familiar, but it was also distinguishably alien. Not sure why, and I do want to point out I'm still kind of transitioning through some of the symptoms. I'm not big on conventional medicines to suppress them, and I figured why suppress them? Then that's a natural part of the process. I figured it's the way, how else will my will my body purge of old and damaged cells that in the absence of a viral infection would normally take much longer to identify, destroy, and eliminate, right? So I've stuck to my traditional hippie, as they call it, medicine, cumin, garlic soup, cinnamon tea. Um, I did make the mistake of trying NyQuil last night, and I had one hell of a night in terms of just kind of being catatonic and just wildest, craziest dreams. So again, is exactly why I don't do it. Body numbed and it was just bad. So please stay away from that, guys. Just let the nature course run. So again, I've tried to touch fire like this, and I got burned. So just some heads up. Regardless, though, it's been pretty intense, but as they say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And so, as you may be aware from these videos, with this topic involved, I seem to yearn to find the interconnectedness and everything, because as I have mentioned, in the world of wiggles, the mountains, the water, people, there is no separation between where we are and where this light begins. Where you're sitting watching this video, it is all one. So with that said, during my time there in my quarantine, in my own self-exploration of what it means to be ill, to be in a state of helplessness, it's not always necessarily a bad thing to be down and out, to be unaware, because this is what brings wisdom in purging and leads eventually to purity, should you want that. In the same way, this is why I want to introduce the two-part video to yesterday and today's 365 days of self-awareness and discipline. So let's get started here. I made some notes. I have quite a few things to discuss. Again, in my time that I wasn't sleeping, I was doing a lot of reading, what I could, and the energy I could muster up today was finally cleansing myself and shaving, so I could do this video this evening. So let me start here. Dogen, a Japanese Buddhist priest, writer, poet, and philosopher, says, "Do not think you will be necessarily aware of your own enlightenment." And isn't this the truth? Again, if you're following these steps and you're searching to reach your full potential, then you normally don't necessarily can see yourself from the outside looking in, right? So from what we hear, what we read, it can see enlightenment can seem very different for our own lives, to reach nirvana, or heaven, if you want to call it that. It is more of the description of our authentic nature. The fact that we are not attending to it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not there. Again, when you're driving down a path, let's say you were just taking a road trip and you're just driving, and they said, take the 1 north. Well, without any labeling up to where you're coming from or where you're going, or a starting point or idea of where you are, to you, the road trip, the destination could have been then and there at any given moment. But it's always in the mental adaptation to understanding where you're going and where you're coming from, that we find the basis of this so-called enlightenment sometimes, our spiritual journey, or not necessarily also in Eastern, Buddhist and Taoist and Indian philosophy, but also in the Western aspect, where we live our lives going to church on every Sunday, and a lot of us want salvation. I mean, we want to make it to heaven, but um, with that said, the heaven may not necessarily be, and again, I'm not bringing any religious or spiritual aspect into this to change our beliefs, but we may not know whether heaven is now or heaven is later. Again, it's always, we cannot see that road that we're on unless someone else points it out to us, or unless we really become self-aware of our own footsteps, right? So, with that said, in some of my readings, I came across Carl Rogers, an American psychologist, who writes that the curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. And so if you're looking for change, if you're looking to break that cycle of self habitual symptoms of whatever it might be that you're watching this video, or you've heard of these videos, or something you may be seeking for. In the same way I was seeking for this some time ago, and continue to, and will continue to do so. Breaking habits that I don't want in my life. Things, habits that and actions that I don't want to pursue based on the experiences of my ancestors and the environment around me. Something as simple as stop drinking. That's been a habit for a while. Before last year or so, year and a half, it took some time to fight, and it wasn't in the fighting that it was in the same fighting that I'd fail, and so it was really more of accepting myself, as who I was then and there, and to allow the change to occur. Of course, it took a lot of again, self-discipline, self-control. And it's funny, I was just reading The Pleasure Compass this morning, and there's a chapter on addiction. And a lot of times, we want to call alcoholism, for example, a disease, but we kind of, that gives the free ticket to the patient or whatever. But ultimately, every post recovering alcoholic, heroin addict, crack cocaine addict, any type of addict, there is a sense of responsibility in continuing their treatment, whatever it might be, whether it be a 12-step program, detox, anything to do with that. I mean, it is a patient's responsibility. So much so, in the same sense, in the same way, a spiritual journey, it's our responsibility to seek it, to break habits, to yearn, to, as what Carl Rogers says, to find, to accept thyself, to allow that change to occur. So to guide you, let me bring you some of his work. In one of his descriptions, he titles "The Good Life," or what he says to aim to the good life. Excuse me, which is the basis of this channel and what we are striving for. He states that a full functioning person is an organism that continually aims to fulfill its full potential, to open one's spirit to what is going on now, and discovers that in the present process of whatever structure that might be, whatever structure it appears to have. So that life should be rich, full, exciting, and suggests that we experience joy and pain, love and heartbreak, fear and courage more intensely. He states that it is not for the faint-hearted. It involves the stretching and growing of becoming more and more of one's potentialities. It involves the courage to be. It means launching oneself fully into the stream of life. And again, this, ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly what this project's aim is, training for the good life. Again, there's no comparisons and judgments only hinder us. So it's really we have to remind ourselves that we cannot know where we are along the path to awakening. Just because I'm doing these doesn't mean that I'm awakened to whatever it might be, to my own path, to salvation, nirvana, or simply just leaving, some of my old bad habits and what I wouldn't really consider those 5-6 years of productivity, to my own potential organism. No. There's been a lot of psychological repairing. I've worked on you could say self-help process for the last few years, but it went from mental, physical, spiritual, psychological, down to a cellular level sometimes. And even today, or the last few days, being quarantined due to illness, I attribute that to my recent change of fulfilling more of my own potential with getting back into weightlifting. I have been going hard for about a month or 2.5, and doing that in the same way that I was doing it when I was in my early 20s, or even 18 to 21. I was really heavy into it. Now, of course, 10 years later, the body is another story. Considering the 6 years I put my body through hell with binges and whatnot of unhealthy habits, and not just physical unhealthy habits, but emotional unhealthy habits and spiritual unhealthy habits, you name it. So again, with that said, there's this purging needed to continue and build stronger antibodies, if the body is, or stronger cells. And again, this is it's all, that's where my mental framework comes into making everything interconnected, because it is all one. Same way that sometimes we suffer as human beings, the family suffers, the generations, a couple of generations suffers, and so on and so forth. So looking back at recalling from your own examples of life, the assignment again is now introducing assignment. Recall some of the examples of your own life as accepting yourself as you are, and how has that allowed you to change? Or if you haven't had a chance to reflect and recall, do so now, so that we can allow that change to occur. In my studies with meeting people and always conducting some type of social experiment or even self-exploration experiment, I tend to ask questions, heavy questions, where it might stump me, it might stump the person I'm working with or talking to, and ultimately that's where we want to face it, in the truth. Again, there's nothing wrong with being down and out. Again, this Carl Rogers, psychologist, says, we have to be intensely prepared and aware to launch ourselves into the stream of life, into what I call as, referred to as a philosophy of the Tao. The stream of the current. You want to flow with the current and not resist it, because that weight of the force of that water will annihilate you. So you want to roll with it, roll with the punches, right? All right, guys. I'm trying to keep this under 15 minutes, but doing the two-day part. I'm gonna get some water. I am intensely dehydrated right now. But thank you again for watching. I'm hoping this one isn't a little too somber. But again, take on those challenges. Take on it hard. Do what's difficult now. We are in winter right now, and in winter we're ill. In winter we're supposed to be doing the difficult. And I did the difficult. I try to run in the cold. I ran in the rain the last month and a half. I worked out in the garage. I did all kinds of heavy body lifting to get my body prepared for the spring and in the fall, so I can work hard in the summer and in the fall, reap the harvest. So do it. It's hard now. Once my illness is gone in a few days, hopefully, I'm back at it. I'm not gonna let this stop me. Same way with you. Don't let life stop you. Whatever it is you may be going through. It's always a celebration. We are here temporarily in this cosmic entity, cosmic journey, cosmic bubble of constant, heart beating. Right? There is no single life, single cellular or quark event that's too different from the majority of the world and what may be happening across centuries even, or continents. It's all one, all within that, what we call, scientists call that 14 billion lifespan. We tend to be linear about our time, and I just saw this Nova documentary on time, and how Time is really just markers over and over, past, present, future, happening all at once. Remember, at the end of the day, we are the Big Bang happening now. So guys, remember, even though feeling ill, health is wealth, and health always starts as a state of mind. Always keep that that dogma there, that creed in your mind, and then you'll be unstoppable, right, so to speak. Guys, thank you so much for listening and watching. I really appreciate your support. I didn't get a chance to release that educator video, but I will be doing this. There are some life events happening in both our families, and so my heart is heavy, and my prayers go out to the entire family. I'm gonna keep that private, but just again, be prayers and good vibes to everyone dealing with suffering. Suffer a little bit, suffer a lot, no matter what, but it goes hand in hand with the yin and yang, the dark and light of everything that is. All right, guys, thank you so much. Talk to you and see you soon. All right, thank you.